the Atlas Lens Co. Summer Camp for Adults. How are we doing? Who here was here earlier for our panel? Any returning customers? Okay, we got a few stragglers from earlier. Well, we have some exciting adventures in store for you. So how many cinematographers do we have here in the audience? All right, good, well represented. And how many directors do we have here in the audience? Okay, cool. How many post-production people do we have here with us today? Thank you for coming, post people. Couldn't do it without you. And how many sound people do we have here today? All right, keep it going. It's okay, we don't need sound for slow motion. We'll fix it in post, right, post people? Well, I'm Dan from Atlas Lens Co., and today we are here because we love movies, we love storytelling, and we love making cool images. And I'm here with my dear friend, Drew Lauer from Hollywood Special Ops. We have Jim Godoldik, we have Ty Evans, and I think we may still have David Stump, ASC BVK. We did a little bit of a panel earlier, but we have something more interesting in store for you. And if we get through trying the camera, we have Jackie Ho, our talent. Everyone give it up for Jackie here. And remind me your name?
I'm Cameron.
Cameron, thank you for coming in. You're going to be the victim, right?
Sure am.
All right, you're going to get beaten on camera today in slow motion? Good. Take it out on him. So this camera, I haven't used it yet, but I'm really excited to try it. And we also have Ariel Levesque here from IO Studio in Montreal, Canada. Take me with you after this. I can't wait to get up there. And we also have some folks from Pixboom. And the lighting was provided by LUX. Thank you, LUX. We have battery systems from Battery Evo. We had a really delightful meal from Mr. Charlie's. I hope everyone got their toy, which is a useful toy. It's a screw, a quarter 20 screw. You know, you're always losing one of those on set. So how many of you have ever shot over 120 frames a second before? All right, look at all you slow motion people. How about people over 480 frames a second? Okay. Well, you're in the right place. This camera will do 1,000 frames a second, 4K, high dynamic range, RAW, on board with a global backside illuminated shutter. And in the audience, how many of you have ever used an Atlas lens before? All right, I like that. And how many of you have not yet had a chance to try an Atlas lens? Okay, well, don't be embarrassed. You know, today's your chance. Like, come on out. We'll let you try them. So if you don't know, every Wednesday we do a thing called Wednesday Lens Day at our headquarters in Glendale, California. It's our factory. Literally, you will not miss us, except for today, because we're here, there from 10:30 to 1:30 every Wednesday. You can count on us for a community-oriented event that's for directors, cinematographers, filmmakers of all kinds, storytellers, people that love movies. It's for you. We do it every Wednesday. So in honor of that, let's do it here today. Drew is going to walk us through this motorized precision robot system. We've got an Atlas 27 millimeter Mercury lens, which is part of the new Mercury Series Group 3 set of lenses. These are full frame and beyond anamorphic lenses with a 1.5 squeeze. They'll cover systems like the Fujifilm GFX Eterna. They'll cover things like the Alexa 265. They're great on the Pixboom, which is a Super 35 format. And they're even great on 16 millimeter film or 35 millimeter film. So I like to call the Mercury lenses the universal anamorphic lens. So why don't we see what we can do with these puppies? Let's have a good time. And if you have questions, let us know. We're here for you. So Drew, what do you think we want to get into?
Nice, thank you. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. I'm Drew Lauer. Been filming in LA for 20 years now with a high-speed camera in my hand from the start. So we started with red light cameras, AOS, Photron, IDT, Phantom cameras came along. We've been using them obviously for many, many years. And my thing has always been making art with really expensive technology. So it's been an evolution from the high-speed cameras to drones to motion control time-lapse and then motion control, fast motion control with Phantom cameras, which kind of go hand in hand. So I'm really discovering this camera for the first time. It was dropped here yesterday, and we're kind of all discovering things about its picture right now live. This will be my first time hitting the record button right now. So we're going to learn about the latitude and mess with these lights and try and test its limits for latitude, and also and mess with these lights to make just a nice image. So that's the goal, huh?
And I think like why we're here is to put new tools, new possibilities into everyone's hands and explore and learn together. Who's excited about learning today? I know I am. I'm excited to find out what we learned.
And do lots of folks have experience with the motion control robots, or is this all new to anybody? No, everybody?
Heck
It's gonna
yeah,
be
let's
fun.
go. It's
gonna be
fresh.
fun. All right, let's.
Good. And do we have any vision research systems users, like any Phantom camera users? Yeah, how about like FreeFly Ember system? I've used it. It's okay. I'm excited about what this has to offer. So let's dig right into it. It's a camera. Let's go.
Let's shoot something.
Cool. So what are we gonna do? Do you want to talk to us about the setup? I mean, what's happening from, what are you guys doing?
We're just going to demonstrate a very simple stunt move. We're going to stack the hit with this new camera.
I just got roped into this about half an hour ago.
Yeah, because I realized,
Instead of kicking air, she'll be kicking me.
yeah, because, you know, kicking air is cool and all, but to actually demonstrate impact, I would love a stunt partner. So Cam, thankfully, is here.
I do my best.
And also, who doesn't want to kind of see, like, a free flow stunt fight? I don't know.
I think so.
Lunch was meatless, so we need real meat to punch.
Fair enough. I'll be the meat today.
So we're learning about some of the settings right now. I'm gonna.
Sure. Yeah. But still. Yeah. But some of the questions will still be pertinent.
Who wants to ask questions while they're sorting it out? I'll answer your questions or pass them to them while they. Okay, cool.
Well, so the slow motion cameras work on a little differently than normal cameras. If you're unfamiliar, they have an internal RAM buffer, which means that it is. This one right now has a 2-second RAM built in. Things
20
are
gigs.
20
So
gig
basically,
buffer.
it's a 20 gig buffer. So
Uh-huh.
depending on your resolution, you're going to get between 1.5 to 4 seconds or more. Like it depends on the data that you record
Yeah,
on your 20
which
gigs.
sounds like a short amount of time, but 1 second at 1,000 frames per second turns out to be 40 seconds
Yeah.
playback time. Still, Phantom cameras and other cameras go longer. So this prototype has a very small internal buffer, and the intention is for you to be able to catch the couple of seconds before you hit the button, and then it will drive straight to an internal SSD that you could then roll and roll and roll and roll.
Yeah,
and roll.
correct. So the buffer limitation is for this specific firmware that we're running for the robot. The camera actually records continuous footage. So when you hit record, it's recording straight to SSD at full speed. It's not very practical for a robotic application because you're gonna end up with too much footage. It's better to run it in a buffer mode with just an end trigger for this. You want to say something?
Yeah. So a lot of you guys may or may not be familiar with the idea of a ring buffer and an end trigger, right? So that's kind of one of the technical things that's
Should I explain
really
that more?
important.
Yeah.
Let's dig into it. So,
So,
most of us, when
yeah.
we run the camera, we push run and it runs, and then we push it again and it stops, right? So walk us through.
So with the
That
high-speed
sounds logical,
camera,
right?
yeah, it sounds normal, right? You hit the button, yeah. No, so with high-speed cameras, you want
Camera go brrrr.
you arm the camera first. We call it you arm the camera, or if the AD's calling out, I say rolling, and at that point, the camera is now rolling forever. It's rolling up for, in this case, 2 seconds, and as soon as it rolls up and reaches its buffer of 2 seconds, it's now going to record a frame, delete a frame, record a frame, delete a frame, record a frame, delete a frame, forever and ever until you hit stop.
Just like Sisyphus pushing that rock up the hill for eternity. Or Cerberus, the snake that eats its tail. See, I told you learned something today.
We're learning Greek mythology.
We got to take it back to the time of the caves.
So it looks like I hit the button, which what that does is it stops that process. So it now keeps all of the previous frames before I hit that button. And this allows so that, I mean, what if you're sitting there, you can't be just rolling terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of footage while you're waiting for this eagle to jump off of a Because when are you going to do it? No, you want to see them jump off and then hit your button. So that way you've got a really concise amount of footage to deal with.
So just to highlight that again, we're going to be hoping to operate on an in trigger because you want to see what happen in real life, and then you know you saw it, you stop the camera.
You stop the camera
so you
from
don't
doing that process.
right over it.
Now the
'cause you're gonna
new
continuously
process
be rolling.
that Pixboom is introducing is the same thing. It would roll up and fill the whole buffer up, but then once you hit your button, it's going to save the second or two prior to the button, and then just continue to roll for as long as until you fill up 2.5 terabyte SSD. So I don't know how many minutes of footage.
At full speed, it would be about 6.5 minutes.
Uh-huh.
At 1,000 frames per second.
6.5 minutes.
So
Yeah,
times
times 40 is how many minutes is how many minutes of footage you would get with that. So,
So yeah, you get about 240 minutes.
Yeah.
Of real-time playback.
yeah. But I can
That's
see
4 hours.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you. But no, I can see the benefit of having that as long as there is still a pre-trigger involved. So this particular model, this one prototype does not have the SSD capability.
It doesn't have, it doesn't have the continuous recording.
The continuous beyond the internal RAM.
The other ones we haven't.
The other ones do, yeah, have, and the final
This
version
one
will.
was just to push the frame rate on the robot.
Right.
Convert it.
Right. So this one here only has the 2-second buffer, so we'll be doing just a 2-second move, which is plenty for what we want to do. Yeah.
We'll be waiting.
Should we roll one and see what it looks like? See if we run into trouble along the way, then we'll learn about that trouble.
Stop it.
Robot's gonna move up to the one position.
You want to be close to the end? Or
Yeah.
to hit the stop?
Cool. And no loop, right? We'll just be a stop. All right. You guys need a rehearsal before you go? You just want to go straight for it?
Do a rehearsal.
Yeah, go ahead. Ready and action. You should have rolled that.
I know, I'm the one that usually says shoot on rehearsal.
It was your rehearsal.
So I'll give on the day I'll give a 3, 2, 1, go, and on go you'll hit trigger and you guys will go at the same time. We'll make adjustments. And when it hits the end, I'll try as fast as Ready? Here we go. You good? Robot ready?
Robot ready.
And 3, 2, 1, go.
Probably went
See
over
playback.
the dinner.
How does the feed, the HDMI converted to SDI, how does that compare to the raw?
The raw looks much better.
So right now we're seeing a linear transform. If we have any folks that like color correction, gamut, color space, DIT types, cinematographer types, we're seeing a linear transform of what's recorded. And when we get into the computer, we'll be able to get into the raw and then map that to a logarithmic profile that lets us do all of our color correction, map the color space, map the gamut, and get all the dynamic range that's recorded. And a question that I've heard asked a lot today is, what kind of dynamic range can we expect from this camera? And conservatively, I'm hearing around 13 stops at the native dynamic range, and it is a global shutter backside illuminated sensor, so it's quite sensitive, and no rolling shutter with a global shutter. So, yeah, go up on the volume. Oh, I'll see. Yeah. We had a question if we can put the video onto this volume screen, but then we're going to be looking into a recursive mirror. So I don't think we're going to be able to do that. And
It'll flicker, so the volume walls don't work with slow motion yet because of the refresh rate.
great question.
Chime in on that one.
Let's get June.
So high speed on LED walls, LED volumes. In this case, with specialty high speed cameras, you have to take into account it's not the cameras specifically that have limitation, global shutter versus rolling shutter, especially with LED. It's more the refresh rate of the panels and the processors. That's somewhat of the limitation. Getting up to about 120 frames per second is doable on digital. If you're doing high-speed work on film on volumes, more complicated custom crystal sinks that have to be, you have to call up our buddies at Keslow and some other places to get some. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
120,
Not much further, and that obviously goes back to, if you're using megapixel Helios processors or Brompton SX40s, obviously There's lots of other manufacturers out there, but you can get to a certain high speed. But the biggest thing is going to be, like with everything, try, test, make sure your gen lock and your sync are set properly. A lot of the specialty high-speed cameras can have, like, if you want to talk about the sync port as well in this on the Pixboom.
Well, like you said, there's a sync port on those cameras, so you can gen lock it with other cameras or with any sync signal that you would have if you want to sync it with a screen or with specific triggers that you have that you're shooting, whatever it is. It can be food droppers or anything. Like you can sync the camera, basically. And even if, like, it's going to get technical, but the sync port allows for capturing a frame at every pulse. So if you have like pulse generators, you could do speed ramps in camera. So starting, like throwing, let's say 100 pulse per second and then ramping it up to 1,000, and then you're gonna have your in-camera speed ramp instead of doing it in post. So that is something that, I know there's some Phantom operators that build apps that already do that. So this would be an easy conversion to make it work with that.
So our buddy in New York, Steve Geralt, who runs the garage, does a lot of high-speed tabletop work. He's got a volume at his place now in the garage, and he's a bit of a tinkerer himself with his building his own lights and building his own sync triggers. But you can push it farther. It's just you have to get everything with working with volume work in sync, and that's the big thing of it. We've all seen issues of things that are out of sync on an LED wall or a volume, and it sends you to go have to do roto, which is not the point of getting any camera visual effects. So that's the big thing is test with any of these things that you're kind of over cranking past 60 frames per second with a volume. Is it's going to come down to talking to your broadcast tech, your LED engineer, your DP, your camera team to just make sure you have all the components you need between, if you're running like an Evertz 5601 for your house clock, you have to make sure that these things are all jammed and synced properly, or you're gonna run into a lot of issues. So irrespective of that, and if you have the budget and the capability, shoot global shutter.
No, let's run another one. Yeah, yeah. I'm just starting to learn about LED walls. This wall's new. By the way, this is I didn't mention this is Los Angeles Studio. Thanks for coming. This new LED wall right here is also going to have two more on the sides and a ceiling that's getting installed now really soon. But this studio's super, very, very, very new. I don't think they've had a shoot here yet. I don't think so. Yeah, it's very new. I think so. Yeah. So yeah, the LED wall almost didn't work this morning. We're just starting to press buttons on it for the first time. All right, let's try another one, huh? Yeah. Can you bring it to so I can find that position again?
Yeah, one thing, the reason why he's going there, we don't have in-camera trigger, like a remote trigger yet for the camera. We're still working engineering prototypes, so he has to manually press it. For any robotic application, you will always have it straight from the, from the computer. But in this case, to show it, we have to do it manually.
Let's just talk about the early days of early Phantom cameras.
Yeah, exactly. And you guys will see once in a while it blacks out. That's the limitation of the current ASIC in camera. We're using the HDMI, but it's all going to be it's all going to be fixed up on launch.
Yeah, it's rolling. It's on. Okay, great. Ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1, action. Much faster. Fast enough? Maybe. I think so. Oh no, he's still rolling. What?
Now it's not. Okay, so let's do it again. Let's do it. When you press, you want to make sure that it goes back to the high. Otherwise, maybe because a double press can do it, or maybe a mispress. Or you know what? Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's on me. It's possible. I'll take it.
Nah. All right, back to one.
Learning together.
Right. All right, you ready? Robots ready? Here we go. 3, 2, 1, action. Nice. That. All right.
Back.
Oh. Still only halfway.
Almost.
Yeah. So the final version of the camera will have a trigger that connects down the line, and our robot will actually trigger the whole thing.
Just squeeze it a bit.
It's the hair, it's cool.
So we have longer. So like we're 30, 40.
Yeah.
You don't
But I
want
want to see
to,
the 4K at the end.
practice traveling composition. But yeah, do you want So you see, that's the kind of things to save it.
We'll do the play-by-play so people can hear in the back.
So it takes about 3 seconds to dump the round to the.
That's very fast.
Yeah.
Well, we don't normally record when you get to a single thing.
Yeah. That's still fast. It's very fast because the buffer is meant just to stabilize it.
Right.
Okay, so we're live. You can arm it.
16-hour shooting. Is it on already?
No, you can arm it. Okay, rolling.
We're armed.
It's replaying. Oh, no, it should be. Oh, yeah, it's still, hold on. No, you got, no, it's fast. Sorry. Yeah, back to one. And I'll tell you when you get it.
Ready, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
There we go. There we go.
Wow.
Look at that form.
Okay, we still see a lot of it there. A lot of what we need to see.
The one thing with slow motion and stunts is that the usual tricks don't work.
Yeah.
Because you really see.
Yeah.
Going on with this.
Because we use like fast camera moves and lower frames usually, but in high
Is
speed.
this just moraine because of the background? It is. This is just the.
Yeah,
texture
we're
of
too
the
we're too
background.
close. So yeah, any of the moire that you're seeing is the texture from the panels from their back there. So even though the wall isn't on, you're still going to pick up the striations from it because of how close the camera is to.
Yeah.
to
we gotta
that.
Do something about that 'cause it's hard to even look at.
Yeah,
Can we maybe?
we need tighter pixel pitch on the panels.
Yeah. All right. Can we play back and look at it again? Yeah. Just start it from the beginning. Yeah.
The other big thing too, what's great about working with Moco and high speed is normally what Drew or any of us will do with this is previs all the moves. So before you even pop a camera onto any of the bots is, you'll either set this up in Unreal and Maya and Blender or in Flare, whatever your system is. In this case, Motorized Precision 2, is you'll be able to map out all your moves ahead of time. So you'll be able to get your stunt viz and your previs going at the same time to coordinate all of this.
Yeah, I didn't think of that, but it's true. You get that texture.
And we're saving this so we can later look at it because I'm really curious to see how the. Rewind to where we see the.
Yeah, so a lot of the stuff that we shot right before, those of you who weren't here in the time that we shot outside with Ty and Jamie, we have that footage as well, saving this footage
Yep.
that we'll be able to look at too in the Resolve station that I think is right over here.
Cars that you saw, those are saved as well. Sometimes it does.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, it's this firmware. But I'm gonna do a reboot. When it starts doing that, I reboot it.
Can you pause it here?
No, I can't pause.
Oh, you can't pause.
Not yet.
Well, so what I'm interested in now is, man, I'd love to get rid of this meringue back here. But what I want to see is we've given it some really harsh lighting on purpose to see how well it can handle the pushing of the brights and stuff, which is historically with slow motion cameras, that's one of the big things from 2010, 2015 that we were always fighting. How soon the shoulder rolls off into just gone.
And we purposely shot it outside, pointing it directly at the sun to see what the sensor was doing in terms of like overexposure and blowing it out. And it held it. Obviously, we know this is an early firmware version. Normally, yeah,
Was the continuous. So
yeah.
It's a more recent firmware. It's more stable.
Yeah. So normally you'd see if you have your sun and sensor directly aligned, especially with a rolling shutter, you're used to seeing a black dot when you come across any, especially the sun is like the harshest light there is. When we shot it out there before, no black dot because we're also on a global shutter.
Nice.
And then still keeping up detail in the sky and the couple clouds that were out there too.
And how are the shadows out there?
They were,
with
they were
that?
good. Jamie had like a darker outfit. He had like black and browns on
Oh,
too.
yeah.
So looking at kind of shadow detail around like his hairline because he tucks his ponytail up over to looking at the shadow detail of the separation of the background to his black shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, you'd be able to detect like fringing in between the separation of the foreground and background with like the differentiation between different color pixels back there.
Yeah.
But it held up
It held
really
up in
well
there.
on it.
All right,
Yeah. So
curious
that's
to
the
see
other
final.
footage that we have that you can all look at too.
Well, maybe what we should do for this is give it less harsh lighting setup. Take the frame rate down, because we've all seen slow motion, right? We can take it down and therefore give it less of a harsh lighting setup, since we don't have soft boxes and all that jazz. Can we bring the camera down to, say, 48 frames a second?
This is supposed to be kind of interactive too,
Yeah,
Dan. So
because-
if you all have questions
Because I want
about
to dial out the blown
the
out.
camera or anything high speed, like pop it out, raise your hand, call it out. This gentleman over here.
Great question. So if anybody didn't hear his question, he was wondering if we're going to be able to view log gamma at some point. And Ariel's had the most seat time with the camera of all of us so far. I can't speak for the Pixmoon people. They are here, but I believe it's high probability that there will be a log profile that you can preview on the camera while you're operating it. And certainly, when you get the raw files into post-production, you can interpret them in a log gamma, right? Because you've done a lot of color correction in DaVinci with these. And actually, we're going to be able to take clips from the camera today back to our DaVinci station and let you play with those clips, color correct them, and adjust them, and even preview them in log or apply a different transform. But I'll let Ariel talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, I mean, you pretty much said it all. Right now, all we got is RAW on camera, but upon launch, we're going to have ProRes on board, a few flavors like 4444XQ, HQ, and LT 422. And there will be a log profile, couple color profile that I'm not sure about yet, but definitely a log we're pushing for. But I've only used RAW so far because that's all we got. And it works great.
And you know, traditionally, when RAW is first introduced with most cameras, they're not going to interpret it with a log profile. So RAW is often shown in a linear profile, and that's what we're seeing now, which makes the preview look a little bit harsh. But then when we got it lit the way we want it, and we're interpreting the gamma the way we want it, it looks very smooth. And the first thing that attracted to me this camera, why I was even curious about it, is the demo reel that Ariel had shot with one of the early prototypes. Looked so good, so color rich, and so much dynamic range that I was like, I would personally like to use this camera. And that's not something I can say for a lot of high-speed cameras. I mean, it's often a compromise in terms of the dynamic range that you see from most high-speed cinematography cameras compared to what we're so privileged to get with, high dynamic range digital cinematography cameras these days. And of course, with film, which has, sometimes fewer stops, but a much more elegant roll-off and very elegant color. And so I was quite impressed with what I saw, and I think it's only going to be better and better as the firmware continues to develop. So who else has questions that we can kind of field? I may or may not be able to answer them, but I promise you I'll try. So go right ahead.
Sorry with the mic. Yeah, on launch, do you guys happen to, Yeah, on launch, I don't know if you guys know, but do you happen to know if there's going to be like a proprietary camera control application?
So Ariel's going to take that one.
Yes, we're working on apps already. The camera has onboard Wi-Fi. Funny enough, when we started the first prototype, it was only working with the app. But since we've got a UI and some controls on board, they sort of put the app to the side. But for launch, we're going to have an app on iPhone and Android as well.
In any given proprietary specialty camera, I mean, the early days of Vision Research, Phantom, working with Cine Files, you had to use PCC. There was no SDK at that time because a lot of these high-speed cameras that we used are coming from military ballistics, NASA, science and research. So you're dealing with a lot of scientific engineers that have no idea about our film world, and relating to them what we need in post-production, visual effects, and editorial and post is a little bit different from a camera that's more targeting our field too. So when a lot of the high-speed cameras of past years came out, there was no resolve. Like even at the time when SpeedGrade was around for dealing with Cine Files, that was like one of the best post applications for working with Phantom at the time. it couldn't read cine files in first until the SDK was there. So it's usually an adoption. You see this all the way down from, Insta360s, GoPros, to all of that. Their raw formats come out with their own post-processing software, and then usually you see the SDKs follow as adoption comes up.
Yeah, and that's what's great about this camera is that from its inception, it's made for filmmaking and visual content. So, like you said, like the scientific cameras, the vision research and everything, you were saying the first thing, like they'll say like, well, it looks good enough, because they need it to see things, but not to make them look good. So having a camera that puts all effort into making it look good and also a great workflow that we're used to as a game changer.
Also, shout out the movie Inception. A lot of slow motion in that movie, am I right?
Yeah, it looks like, are you going to drop a flag back here for you?
We want to get rid of that moire. Yeah.
Drew's not happy with the pixel pitch moire on the back there. We've got another question. The price is obviously not my wheelhouse because I'm not a representative of that, but I think either our Pixboom or our friend here can talk about, has an official price been announced yet?
Can we say it? Right. So like Jing said, the Kickstarter campaign is going to start September 17th.
We just had a Kickstarter.
There we go. Well, it's going to be another one on September 17th. And so the base price, MSRP of the camera is going to be $13,000 with the 2.5 terabyte. I think throughout the Kickstarter, it's going to be more around $10,000 or $11,000 for body. And well, that's for early birds, but yes, like something like $7,000 or $8,000 for a few early birds. Like I don't know, I don't know how many units, but even at 13 full MSRP, this is below, like by an order of magnitude, anything that's been done out there.
Just know, when I bought my first 2 terabyte Cine mags, they were over $25,000 a piece.
Just for the mag.
Just for the mags. Not even for
Well,
the
Phantom
Cine
is
Station.
130K or something.
Yeah, Flex 4K or 4K GS or even Veo 4K is, a few of these to one price
Yeah.
of those cameras.
Exactly.
So the great thing about even, we look at the Evo over here and we look at the camera systems we're getting more bang for our buck these days for what the camera systems can do. We're starting to switch over to more global shutter sensors starting to pop up in the market, larger format, we've got Ursa 17K out there. We've got other custom solutions for IMAX. So it really depends. I mean, I guess show of hands here, how many people are shooting high speed today with, and it doesn't matter. Right? High speed can count on an iPhone or a GoPro or, they're all different tools.
The Sony, the FX3 and FX30 that go up to 240,
we've got the RE Extreme, just new things. But yeah, if we look at even just a few years ago when Ty, when you got we started off like HD Gold days before camera systems back in the day for vision, HD Gold, the price back in the day was still crazy expensive. Yeah, I helped develop the Miro with vision research early, and went from, if you're going to target a camera that's supposed to be kind of action sports style, the first Miro system that we had out there with the before it went to the LC320 was the 310, and I said we need a monitor. So basically brought in a DVX 100 HVX at that time. I was like, we all use a monitor, especially if you're doing anything action. We have to see it without having to have an external monitor. The only problem we know about that was the ribbon cable wasn't that great on that camera. But if you've ever had a lot of the flip out cameras over time, the ribbon cables always cut out, and then you're like, shit, I have no picture now. But to look at the cost of high speed camera systems to where we are today, it's ridiculous that we could get a sub $10,000 camera that can shoot 4K at 1,000.
That dynamic range too.
Yeah. Because how many stops are we roughly with this one?
About 13. Basically, we just got the IMA test chart result, and if you guys are familiar with the Pixis 6K from Blackmagic, it's pretty much a carbon copy in terms of the distribution of stops. It's actually, we have a few, like it's a bit better than the Pixis 6K. So it's pushing a bit past 13 stops, and I was telling the team, like if they thought of putting audio on the camera, it would end up being an A cam on a lot of daytime drama and for a lot of small, medium to small studios.
Yeah, and the big thing that's going to be is like, even with the test of that way, we also have the differentiation of different color science, like, you know, Blackmagic with B-Raw with their proprietary RAW system, Pixboom with theirs. What's the wrapper called again?
It's PXBL, which is it's a wrapper for DNG at the moment. So
Yeah.
it's when you convert it and after you ingest it, you end up with a CDNG sequence.
Yep.
Let's shoot more.
Yeah.
Shoot more.
Shoot more.
So we did the background. You guys want to show the LED wall wasn't on, but it was still creating this weird pattern of moraine, which made it really difficult to see what we were looking at. No, I put it back to 120. Can you get to 190, 196? Well, because I've dimmed down the lights. Okay, but it can still. We will. Yeah.
And this is what happens on set when you have a director and a DP or director and op. There's this whole back and forth of like, I want this, but the tech can only do this right now. You're gonna get kicked. Splash on.
All right, and did you save that last one? You saved the last one? Yeah. Can you play back from the SSD? Yeah. You can? Yeah.
The other cool thing that I do like seeing the Pixboom for the first time too is the fact that it doesn't use proprietary media. That's a big thing too of a lot of specialty cameras or large format cameras that have to have such like a high buffer have still switched over to using proprietary media. Early days of Red, a lot of the other systems out there, even the Ursas.
Right. Just it is proprietary, like
In the
sort
wrapper,
of
yeah.
proprietary media, but much less expensive, and it doesn't need a reader. So the drive that we put in the camera has a USB-C port on it, so it acts like a normal external drive basically, and it's a fast one. So.
There you go.
No mic. Give a big applause for Hajun,
Coming in.
the absolute goat. So I think, sorry, I wasn't using the mic earlier, but I was just saying, if you didn't get a chance to see Michael Cioni and the Strata team's demo earlier, Strata is basically a way of doing peer-to-peer file sharing for professional usage. And so with a drive like this that's essentially a USB-C drive with a RAID built in, you could take the mag right out of the camera, connect it to your computer, and then share it to your post-production facility from set without having to fully download it. That's how crazy that is. So it's kind of nice to have basically a mag that has its own reader built in. Pretty convenient.
This is dark magic.
So this one won't be as slow motion. We went down to 196 frames per second. We were at 1,000 previously, and the reason is because I want to dial in the lighting better. We don't have a gaffer. We don't have a softbox. We don't have all our really nice things. But you know, like I said, we were trying to put it under harsh lighting positions to push it to kind of break the latitude and see where it lies. And now I want to drive it back down and see if we can get something that actually. Let's get something that looks nice that we can actually make a nice picture, and then we can come back up and see it slow.
So by a show of hands real quick too, how many people in the audience are mainly shooting narrative work? And how many of you folks are shooting product photography, commercial cinematography? Okay, cool. And then how many people are sort of like content creators? Like that's like a whole new subcategory. Like if you're making, YouTube. Thank you for coming out and doing this. I'm glad to see you folks here. Good. And who's mostly doing music videos? I like doing music videos, title sequences. That stuff I love doing. Cool. And then how about action sports? I mean, I think these are all areas that I think high-speed cinematography works well in. But if I'm forgetting something, wildlife, that's something I almost forgot. So nature documentary filmmaking. Got any nature cinematographers here? Never too late to start. We got you. Cool. Facts. Wildlife. Let's go.
So when the SDI cuts out, the thing will play.
Yeah, it doesn't know it's cutting out. That's the ASIC.
This is so dope.
He's in trouble.
Yeah, really difficult to hide pull kicks and pull punches in slow-mo. You always have to do a lot of trickery.
There's the hair.
That's so rad.
That's good. Yeah, 196 is still slow. Yeah, let's try it.
So just to kind of bring everybody up to speed, we are going to have another demonstration shortly from Michael Cioni and Strada that's going to show you that workflow. We're going to be able to take the clips directly from this camera or from our session earlier that Mr. Ty Evans shot of professional skater Jamie Foy earlier. We're going to be able to actually push those clips up to the live cloud. We're being our own cloud, essentially. And we're also going to be able to color correct these clips and see them in DaVinci. So stick around, try the DaVinci stations, see what kind of latitude you can get from the camera and how you can push these clips from our tests earlier. Ask some questions, get familiar with the folks from Pixboom, the folks from LUX, from Tilta, the Atlas folks, and ask questions and experience the Strada demo. And we are going to have another session that we're going to start with a Q&A right around 6:30. So that's not going to be too long after. And so basically we started with a Q&A today. Many of you missed that. We're doing this little quick test here. And while you're getting the demo from Strada and trying the clips on DaVinci, think about questions or things that you'd like to try if you got your hands on the camera for the very first time and got to experiment with it. And we can actually put those into practice as we close out the day. Does that sound good to everybody? What do you think? Okay. Yes, actually, so we got a great question from this gentleman. We are actually recording live on a live stream right now that's on the Atlas Lens Co. YouTube and Instagram, but we're going to make these clips available edited from the entire session. So we're going to go through and just give you the good bits with a little bit of a nice wrapper, a nice post-production process on it, and clips from the event. And there should be raw clips available from the event for you to color correct, bring into your own post-production software. Yes, absolutely. You're asking if we're going to get a link. You're all going to get a link, for sure. And if you want to opt out, you can opt out, but we're going to send you a lot of good stuff. Good stuff.
Question.
Is there going to be a local service and sales facility for the company for the camera here in the U.S., or is it all going to be overseas?
That
So
is a
yeah,
question
that's,
for you,
I'll
sir.
pass that to Ariel.
They are working right now with distributors and people around the world. So in the States, in Europe as well. The goal is to have warehouses and service centers at least, at the West Coast, East Coast, and a few places. And then as it goes, as we hit critical mass, there'll be more. But at first, when we start shipping, we'll make sure that there's at least a West Coast and an East Coast service center.
What else would you like to see today? If anybody didn't get something from the experience so far that you want, shout it out right now. Tell me what it is that you want, and I'll make sure that we give it to you. If we can't give it to you today, we'll make it possible. We are the dreamers of dreams. We are the music makers. Shout it out. Let us know. What would you like to see, buddy?
It's more of a lighting questions than the camera. Just about the shooting high-speed frame rate. Are there any types of lights or brands that work better that have they can take more frequency? I don't know what's the
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah.
The question was about lighting and shooting high speed. Everybody has their favorites. It doesn't matter if it's a SC360 from Ari, if it's a Vortex 8 or Mole Richardson. There's a LUX. There's lots of choices, but in the photometrics or the output of the lights, there is major quality differences of what cheaper, accessible LED lights are versus old school kind of like tungsten. Is you really have to look at not only the photometrics of the output of the light and the quality of it, because you can have lights that have spikes in terms of its output in a different spectrum, at a different frequency. Some lights, like the cream sources with the Vortex and frame sync, can actually quote unquote gen lock to your camera system, and you can sync multiple lights. There's obviously other external sources that help you kind of jam sync DMX, ArtNet over a control system when you're shooting like light arrays that are synced to a sensor. And why you want to do that too, especially if you're on a rolling shutter system versus a global shutter too, in terms of readout time, wanting to get the lights in phase with the sensor readout. There's different lights that have that capability, and there's different light accessories that let you do things like that too. So this is, Drew, this is a light question about LED lights, quality, and specificity of light choices. I don't want to play favorites. Like I happen to shoot a lot of high speed with the cream source lights lately. In the past 2 years, the SpaceX's and the Vortex 8s and 4s have done really well. I know they're also a favorite of Greg Frazier. So if they're also good for Greg, I think they're good for a lot of us too. But it is kind of like right tool for the job, and it may be like what's available on the truck or to production may dictate to that. And if you happen to be the DP or the high-speed op, you definitely want to get your word in there early to the producer, to production, to say like the reason why we're choosing this specific light paired with this sensor is for these reasons. You give the technical reasons, you give the creative reasons, and that's why you're justifying your budget to saying, hey, I need 15 of these Vortex 8s in a bank because I need this output.
Sorry, one more. Can I ask one more question? Sure. Is there a rough math equation for the frame rate versus how much output you'd need, or it's more like an experience?
Well, yeah, it's just like an f-stop. So if you're doubling, is this what you mean? If you're doubling
No,
your...
because then you'd have to crank the shutter speed according to how many frames a second you're shooting. And if you're shooting 1,000 frames a second, it's not about frame stops. Like this 5K is kind of doing something.
Yeah, that's dimmed down to I think 1.2% right now because we've lowered the
Yeah,
frame
I mean
rate.
before when it was set to 1,000 frames a second.
Yeah. Well, I think sure. Yeah, I think Sure. Yeah. I think you might be reading into it a bit too much because it's simply just like an f-stop. Because when you affect the frame rate, when you affect the frames per second, you are effectively affecting the shutter. So it's no different than changing your shutter. So if you're going at 180 shutter at 100 frames per second, if you go to 200 frames per second, it's exactly the same thing as cutting your shutter in half. So the motion blur will be the same.
It is. It feels a bit uncanny. But yeah. I'll dig
maybe,
in.
yeah,
So
if I'm- maybe-
photopic. Who knows what photopic vision is? I know Dave Stump does, of course. Come on, guys. Dave Stump knows what photopic vision is. But for the rest of us, photopic vision is the way human beings experience illumination primarily from the sun. And of course, human beings, we're so self-centered. We're thinking about what humans see. We're not thinking about the way our dogs, our cats, parrots, undersea reptiles, all these things, they see things a little bit differently than we do. But human beings, we see things kind of a specific way because of our biology and because of our light source, the sun. So there's a certain spectrum and group of wavelengths that make up the way that we as human beings experience the world visually. And of course, there are differences from person to person, just like there's differences from camera body to camera body. But if we take a big overview of the way that most humans see things, it's kind of generally in a central area. And we see a certain part of the spectrum called the visible wavelength. That's, again, self-centered human way of seeing the world. Those spectra, those different parts of the spectrum, kind of fall between 380 nanometers and like up around 780. So we have a portion of the spectrum, and that is another important part of quality of light, is how well filled that spectrum is. So if part of the spectrum is gapped, we're going to be missing colors from that part of the spectrum, and things aren't going to look as rich, colorful, or realistic to the way that we see the world. They might be interesting. For instance, if anyone's seen Dune, the great work of Greg Fraser, ASC, ACS, you'll know that there's some infrared photography in there. And infrared is not the way that human beings really see the world at all, but it certainly is interesting, beautiful, and a different perspective. And so they're on an alien planet in the movie, and things are monochrome, and things that are dark look light, and things that are light look dark. So it's quite fascinating. But here, photopically, the way humans see the world, we want to make sensors and lenses that help render the world in a way that us human beings can relate to, unless we're trying to create an extrasensory or non-human experience. For instance, the movie Predator, where they've got the predator vision that we use for false color on the camera, right? So anyway, long story short, color wavelengths are a key consideration because we're trying to create things that are relatable to humans, unless we're trying to create an extra human experience for some reason, which is, of course, a valid storytelling tool and technique.
Does that
Now,
answer your question a little
not
bit?
quite. I went a little deep.
I
but
think he's, yeah, I think what you're,
We'll-
I think
we'll
actually
cut-
what you're referring to is the latitude and the shoulder coming off to whites really fast. Is that what you're noticing?
Yes, the exposure triangle. Mr. Stump, come on. You.
Yes, there is an equation for what you're asking about, and I can't recite it off the top of my head. It is in one of my books, and if you want the calculator that uses that equation, it's called a light meter. And this equation is in every electronic light meter made, and it's fairly simple to interpret if you just get a light meter, and that will allow you to set shutter and time and exposure index, and it runs the equation for you.
Yeah, basically, the fact that it's high speed, like the high speed portion of the camera doesn't affect, like it's the same equation.
I mean, there's three, I went very philosophical because we decided to get a little bit into the wisdom of the ancients, right? But the exposure triangle, most of us know it, and it's okay if we don't. That's all good. The exposure triangle has three primary concerns. The aperture, which is like the pupil of the lens. It's how large of a bucket are we letting light in, right? It's our pupil, it's our iris. So it can close down and let less light in, or let more light in if it's more open. Then we have chronological exposure, which is how long the shutter is open or closed for. So some may know this and some may not, but movies that are shot on film, when we're watching them in the theater, 50% of the time that we're in the theater watching the movie, we're in complete darkness, and the other 50% of the time it's completely illuminated because the shutter's opening and closing. And the same is happening in a camera with a 180-degree shutter, where half the shutter is open and half the shutter is completely closed. And then if we want sharper images with less motion blur, we can close that shutter time and make it a shorter shutter duration. And then the third area is sensitivity of the substrate, which would be either the film or the sensor. So that's the area that the light is hitting that is quantifiable in pixels as buckets of light, right? So the buckets will receive the light, and some buckets are bigger, some pixels are smaller, and that's like how big of a bucket or how dense of a bucket space, how many spaces between pixels are there, and that's going to make your sensor more or less sensitive to light. Because if you have dense pixels, the photons are not going to want to go into those pixel wells. They're going to want to get scattered out. So if you have a very tight pixel density, higher resolution, you're going to have less ability to receive those photons. So again, the three areas for the exposure triangle that are not going to be necessarily changed in high speed are pupil, which is how much light is entering, duration of the shutter, which is how long is the shutter open and closed for, and then the sensitivity of the sensor. And I believe the native sensitivity of this sensor is around, at this time, dual ISO. So we have two native sensitivities for this particular sensor.
It's 400 and 1250.
So clear answer on that. The native sensitivity, you can gain up or gain down, 400 and 1250. But in high speed, we have the opportunity when you have that short of a piece of time chronologically, you can actually run at a 360-degree shutter, which would be an open shutter. So there's never a blanking time, so to speak. It's all on or all open. It's a virtual shutter, yeah. And these sensors, this is a global shutter, so it's going to blank the whole sensor at the same time. You're not going to have scan lines reading out. But it's an important consideration, your question, and I don't mean this in any condescending way. I actually super appreciate the question. This is not meant to condescend anyone. To pun intended, we have to shed some light on this subject, right? I'm a dad. I can't help myself. I was born this way.
Your calculation, you'll also have to take into effect on non-global shutters, sensor readout time on CMOS sensors. So you can get that. They can be measured. They are measured. Most of them are published. So if you're shooting on a CMOS-based high-speed situation, you can get the sensor readout times to figure out into your calculation.
But to give you a quick answer about the equation, if you shoot at 400 on your regular camera at 100 frames per second, you want to shoot at 1,000, you're going to need 10 times more light. If you shoot at 24 and you want to shoot at 1,000, you're going to need 40 times more light. Like essentially to get the same image from 400 ISO to 400 ISO. So it is just like Drew was saying, simply like your shutter, like it's the same equation.
If you were shooting at 1,000 frames per second with a 180 shutter, that's the same exact thing as if you had a still photo camera at 1/2000th of a shutter.
Yeah.
You'd get the exact same amount of motion blur from that, which is
And light, yeah.
and light, yeah. And then if you set your stills camera at the same ISO, 400 or 1250, you would have the exact same exposure.
So you can use your slowdown rate as your sort of like factor of more light you need. Essentially.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Of course.
We got there.
Did that
Yeah. What do we got?
What about we shoot another one?
Let's shoot one.
768 this time.
Yes.
Is there something you'd like to see our performers do differently than what you've seen so far? And then we'll do the demo with Strada and let everybody look at the raw files with DaVinci and color correct them. What do you think?
Yeah, let's have a different move, yeah.
Is that okay with you?
What's the roll time now on this?
768. We gotta get back to
So one of his secret,
go quick.
one of his cheat
Take-
codes,
take one
you
for the
might have
team.
missed it earlier.
Let her
One of his
just-
cheat
yeah,
codes for
let her hit.
frame rates,
Let her connect.
768 frames
My
a
favorite
second.
frame.
Favorite frame rate.
But like
cheat
as
code.
soon as it hits, you do the, you know.
I mean, 24, 48,
No peer
96,
pressure.
196,
Don't have to.
384, up to 768. Those are true doubles. Like 240 frames per second. I mean, you're going to be fine, but it's not a true doubling of the numbers.
And it's easy to divide mathematically.
Times 2 times 2. Oh, there we go. Yeah. There, can you hear me now? Yeah, so 240, it's fine. Everything's going to look fine at 240, but I like to double to go from 24, 48, 96, 196, 384, 768. That way, the motion, because there's a lot of speed ramping involved, you can just go 200%, 400% instead of some weird math problem, because the top frame rate here, we say 1,000 frames per second at 4K. It's actually 937 frames per second. It's just a limit on the data, a limit on the thing, but not trying to take 937 down to 24 frames per second to ramp that's a weird percentage and could look a little odd. So yeah.
Can you down res to 2K and go higher?
You absolutely can, yeah. So 2K, you're getting close to 2,000 frames per second.
Tell you right now.
We can do one like that too. We should do one after this.
Yeah, so if we go,
So, we can, yeah. I was keeping back for safety reasons because I don't have enough people here to. Usually, I have a safety person watching, and yeah, I'm a little. Yeah.
so at,
A static shot. Maybe we do a static shot where the robot doesn't move, and we can do a shot like that.
yeah, in 2K, we're at the 1926, so 1,926 frames per second.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm sure you can go down to 720p and get even probably around 3,000 frames per second, I would guess. 768, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna get in my. Where do we want to line this up here? Now, the robot will still move in the same direction. Yeah.
It does the same exact move.
All right, Carlita, you can, is it on? Wait 1 second, Carlita. That's what I'm saying, yeah, that's what I moved it up to. Perfect. Is it rolling?
Yeah, it's rolling.
Great. All right, back to 1. Nice. All right. Robots ready? You guys ready? Yep. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, action. Got it.
All right, everyone, let's give it a hand. Let's give a hand for our stunt performers. Let's give a hand for Drew Lauer, for Ariel, for Dave Stump, ASC BVK, for Ty Evans, and Jim Godoldik. Great panel. We're going to let Michael Cioni from Strada present to you now, and if you want to try getting this stuff and taking a look at it in DaVinci Resolve, come on back to the stations. We got you. And enjoy the sweet sounds of Antonio Cisneros DJing while we bring Michael and the Strada folks up to present next. Thank you so much. All right, we're gonna put Michael up now, and we're gonna put him on the post. That's actually safe.
Dude, that looks cool.
Yeah. Very cool. Sick, guys.